Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. St. Catherine wanted man arrested in Manchester. A man wanted for murder and shooting incidents in St. Catherine was arrested in Manchester following a stop-and-search operation at the New Green Runabout in Mandeville on Tuesday. A police source stated that shortly after midday, a bus operating as a public passenger vehicle was stopped by the police at the runabout. The man, who was a passenger in the bus, was seen acting suspiciously, the police source said. He was removed from the vehicle and was taken into police custody for processing. He never had any ID. He was questioned and was acting in a suspicious manner and was taken in for processing. He is wanted for several murders and robberies in St. Catherine area, stated the source. The wanted man's identity is being withheld pending an identification parade. 13-year-old girl among two shot in Manchester attempted robbery. A 13-year-old girl and a 49-year-old man have been hospitalized after they were shot and injured during an attempted robbery in Harman, South Manchester on Tuesday night. A police source told reporters that about 9 p.m., 3 people were closing a shop in Harman's when 2 gunmen traveling on motorcycle attacked them. The 2 men on the motorcycle with firearms attempted to rob them after they closed the shop. The gunmen were unsuccessful, and when leaving, they opened fire, hitting the 13-year-old and the man. The other person was not shot, the source said. Residents told reporters that the 13-year-old and her mother had just closed the shop and were traveling on a bike taxi driven by the man when the gunmen attacked. The 2 injured persons were taken to hospital and admitted for treatment. Man arrested following fatal beating in Clarendon. 1 man is dead and another is in custody following a dispute in Maven, Clarendon. The deceased is 64-year-old Paul Clark of Luddy Green in Frankfield in the parish. The police report that about 8:19 p.m., both men had an argument, which escalated into a fight. It was reported that Clark used a piece of board to hit the 44-year-old man. It is further reported that the man took hold of the board and used it to hit Clark several times in the chest. Clark collapsed and later died from his injuries. The man subsequently turned himself into the police and remains in custody. Several rounds of ammunition found in bag of rice inside microwave. The Kingston West Police seized 13 assorted rounds of ammunition during an operation on George Street, Rosedown, Kingston on Tuesday, April 11. Reports from the Denhampton Police are that about 4:45 p.m., lawmen were on operation in the area when a premises was searched and the ammunition was found in a bag of rice inside a microwave. The police said no one was arrested in relation to the seizure. Investigations continue. Bench warrant issued after cop fails to show up for a drug trial. A bench warrant was issued for the investigating officer in the case against 3 former Sangsters International Airport employees facing drug smuggling charges, after the cop failed to show up for the matter in the St. James Parish Court on Tuesday. The defendants, Indra Wade, Berlin Reed, and Roman Kerr, have their bails extended. They are to return to court on May 8. This case has been plagued by delays. What is paramount is that an accused who says he or she is not guilty is to be afforded a fair trial in a reasonable time. The investigating officer ought to have been aware of today's date because he was present when the date was set, Judge Asher lamented. The judge made the order after defense attorneys John Sinclair and Henry McCurdy complained about the delays in the matter, with the defendants making at least 12 court appearances to date. Sinclair argued that the prosecution had failed to establish a clear case against Wade, Reed, and Kerr, adding that their lives have been disrupted by the long trial process. The court ordered that there should be full disclosure of the document, and up to date, the order of the court has not been followed. The defendants cannot continue with their lives because of what is hanging over their heads, and I honestly believe that it is time for the prosecution to do the honorable thing and offer no further evidence against them, said Sinclair. In response, the prosecution said that an electronic copy of the outstanding documents would be distributed to the defense lawyers. McCurdy pointed to the perceived inefficient work of the officers involved in the case as one of several reasons to discontinue the matter. I am sorry for the prosecution because they are in a hole, and it is unfair for a citizen of our beloved Jamaica to come to court for a year and a half, which my friend in the prosecution cannot say is quick or speedy. I submit to you today that the officers involved are senior officers and they ought to know better, said McCurdy. During a previous court hearing on February 21, the defense attorneys had made a joint application for the case to be dismissed for want of prosecution, citing the prosecution's tardiness in gathering enough evidence to build its case. The allegations are that on October 10, 2021, the defendants were servicing a flight that was scheduled to depart from the Sanchez International Airport in Montego Bay when they conspired and placed a bag with 11.4 kilograms of cocaine, valued at $88.1 million, on board the aircraft. The cocaine was intercepted at the Toronto Pearson International Airport in Canada, and one person was arrested in relation to the seizure. The 3 St. James residents were also later arrested and charged. Wade, a 43-year-old security supervisor, is charged with possession of criminal property and aiding and abetting. Reed, a 23-year-old aviation security officer, is charged with breaching the Civil Aviation Act, while Kerr, a 35-year-old ramp attendant, is charged with possession of, dealing in, and attempting to export cocaine. A fourth defendant was freed after the prosecution elected to drop the conspiracy charge against all the accused persons. Public Defender's Office police settle differences on SOE data. The Office of the Public Defender OPD and the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF have resolved their misgiving regarding the provision of information about detainees during a state of public emergency SOE. The OPD had accused the police of stonewalling and giving an annual of unwelcomeness whenever it requested information about SOE detentions and visited lockups. Both parties hashed out their differences during a meeting of Parliamentary Internal and External Affairs Committee on Tuesday, at which Deputy Public Defender Herbert Mackenzie presented a scrapping report accusing the JCF of not being forthcoming about detainees' data, which has not been supplied since 2018. The police have since committed to providing the necessary information within the ambit of the law. The report was in response to the IEA Committee's request for the OPD to provide information on detentions under the SOEs, with the Deputy Public Defender stating that in the document that the information the IEA Committee now seeks insecurely embedded in the bosom of the JCF and/or the Jamaica Defense Force JDF. The OPD said that during the SOEs in 2018, it had kept track of the detainees and their information, such as the duration of detention, age, gender, reason given for detention, and so on. Additionally, the office took note of the condition of places of detention, including provision of meals and other items needed by people detained. Further in the report, Mackenzie said the following of the OPD presents to the IEA Committee on the 2018 SOEs. The JCF took issue with the figures presented. In fact, following that presentation, the JCF shared publicly that the information supplied by the public defender was meant to demean the police. This position, articulated by the St. James Division, was published in the media, and there was no distancing of the JCF High Command from that sentiment. In fact, the JCF Legal Affairs Division also took issue with the figures presented by the public defender, he said. The report added that requests to some police division by the OPD for information on detainees during subsequent SOEs, while not outright rejected, have yielded information that was conclusions by the police rather than raw data as was provided in the 2018 SOEs. The JCF's conclusions do not help the public defender. The public defender requires the raw data for which the OPD can do its own analysis, the report said. The OPD has this concern and development of a subtle reluctance on the part of the JCF to provide the public defender with information related to detentions in the SOEs. An example was the request for information on 5 persons who were taken into custody and being held at the Central Police Station in November 2021. This was during the SOEs declared on the 14th of November 2021. Kingston Central was one of 7 police divisions in which SOEs were declared on that particular occasion, the Deputy Public Defender said in the report. In response, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson said he has looked at the report and made note of the back and forth exchanges. But the point is, if the public defender needs information, we can give it to the public defender's office. We will do that. I commit to doing that, he said, adding that there have been so many SOEs since 2018. There have been about 4 or 5 since then in different areas, but if you need information on those, I commit to give you that data, he said. Committee member Donovan Williams sought clarity as to whether there is any legal impediment to providing information on SOE detainees. Public Defender Caroline Reed Cameron responded, "Where we sit, we do not jurisdict to seek this sort of information. In fact, we actually do not have some powers under the Office of the Public Defenders Act, the use of summons, to demand this kind of information. I do believe though that after today, we can anticipate that going forward, we would have a much smoother ride with the intervention of the Commissioner of Police, said Reid Cameron. Said the Police Commissioner, I believe we have a new public defender. We should have a meeting. We can have that, and I believe that out of it we can resolve all of this, he stated. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell